Hello. Today I'm going to be reviewing a book, and as you can see here, it's Felix Goes to Preschool by Lovevery. If you've watched any of my previous videos, you'll be familiar with Lovevery in some capacity, and this is one of their products that doesn't come in a kit. It doesn't come in the Play Kit subscription. It's a standalone product that you can purchase. So if you've been curious about dipping your toes in and trialing a product, this book is a fairly sort of low investment way to go. Retails for 25 Australian dollars, bearing in mind though that there is a shipping cost attached. So the reason I purchased this book, to be completely honest, was because I was buying something that fell slightly short of the shipping threshold, which is either $100 or $115, something along those lines. So I put this one in the cart because I do love all of the Lovevery books. Slight spoiler alert. But I knew it would be enjoyed and read and used. So yes, and they ship with Australia Post, and it was very well packaged, and yeah, all the things you'd expect when you're paying for what is a premium product. I appreciate the fact that $25 for one book is relatively expensive, actually. If you haven't looked at the market for children's board books in a while, you may not know, but if you walk into BW, you can get board books for $5, $8, so investing $25 on one is not insignificant. Noting as well that you can go to your local library and borrow books for free, that sort of thing, and go to secondhand bookstores. So definitely a premium product, in my opinion. So I'll start off with purpose. So the purpose of this book is to familiarize a child who is going into a preschool environment with the process of doing that. It's told from the perspective of Felix and it walks through the process of him preparing for the first day and going to school and returning home from school on the first day. And as is typical of Lovevery books, they go to the trouble of staging their own pictures. And the images they get are really engaging and beautiful and high quality. So the age range that they put on this particular book is 3 and up. I think that, well, my son is not 2 yet, and he loves this book. I think it's to do with the fact that there's pictures of other children in it, and I think children typically like other children. They find them interesting. So that's one factor to consider, that you don't have to strictly follow the age bands they recommend. So this one, the purpose of it, as I said, is to familiarize a child who may be about to go into the preschool environment, but I generalize it across any sort of out-of-home care environment, to be completely honest. So if your child's going into daycare or Montessori school or something like that, it would be great. Lovevery is a Montessori-focused company. So this whole thing, aside from being full of their usual kind of shameless product placements and things, I'll try and find an example, so that's a Lovevery product in the background, and the books are on the table and that sort of thing. These are based in Montessori principles. So the school shown in this book is a Montessori school, and that may be why it looks, let me find a photo so I can show you properly. That may be why it looks a little more staged, if you like, but knowing a little bit about Maria Montessori and how she liked to set up spaces and her philosophy, I can confirm that things are done in a very Montessori way. So the open low shelving, having the tray with the object on it, and having all of the different instruments, in this case I think it's instruments or lamps lined up there, having the art on the wall, so it's got some Hokusai, some Degas and some Matisse, and behind the teacher here you can see other activities that have been bundled into trays and boxes, which is a very Montessori approach. So yeah, it's absolutely, this product itself it follows Montessori principles, but it also is showing a universe in which we're following Montessori principles, so there's no question there as to whether it's Montessori. It absolutely is, well and truly. So execution, I would say, is excellent. 5 out of 5, 10 out of 10. There's really no criticism I can make of how this book was written, photographed, executed, and from a practical perspective, or a product, like the physicality of it, it's got the, just try and get it to focus, it's got those wrapped corners. Yeah, you can see it here, wrapped corner, so that it's not a board book with a raw edge that's going to get damaged quickly. This one, you know, it's had the boisterous toddler test via my son. It's looking pretty good. Like I'd say it looks new still, to be honest. And if you get water on it or food, it's got that kind of slightly satin paper. It's thick. If you get to it quickly, you can wipe it down and probably save it. So, yeah, execution is great. The quality is great. From a practicality perspective, it's easy to cart around. It's really lightweight, and you don't have to baby it. So this is the kind of thing I would actually put in the car, in the nappy bag, for a weekend away. Value. In my opinion, this is 25 Australian dollars well spent. You could buy three random books for the same price as this, targeted at the same age range, but I'm going to suggest that you don't do that and that you purchase one book that's better. And this is the one book that's better. I have no association with Lovevery. It sounds like I do because I'm so happy with this product, but it's just a book that's very well done, and I really can't think of any way they could have improved this particular book. I love the fact that it shows diversity. Like a lot of the families in Lovevery's pictures are mixed families, and yeah, racially diverse, which is just fabulous. And they also do a lot of sort of what I would call like signaling around, you know, not kind of holding yourself to gender stereotypes. So they'll have the young boys playing with the baby dolls. They'll have young boys who have long hair that look, you know, that looks kind of fairly feminine, but they are boys. They just happen to have long hair and that sort of thing. And I love the normalization of factors like that. To be honest, I think it's a signal that it's a really well thought out, inclusive book. This book models a few key Montessori principles that I just wanted to briefly mention before I wrap up. So it models child-led learning. So there's all these beautiful prompts throughout the story around, you know, going, okay, what is the child interested in, and how can we sort of, I'm sorry about my cat, lead from that. So in this case, he's nervous about his first day at school, and the Montessori teacher has already had a chat with mum and figured out that he likes the moon. I'm sorry about my cats, they're just being absolute toads at the moment. The teacher has figured out that Felix is interested in the moon and offers a book about the moon as a way to sort of break the ice and bring him into the classroom. That's a beautiful example of a Montessori principle. So we're not just saying we're reading a book about XYZ and you're just going to jump in with us and be interested in that. A much better approach is to show an interest in the child's interests in their unique areas of interest. It shows concrete learning. It doesn't necessarily demonstrate concrete learning, but it shows how, it walks through the entirety of the day, including nervous feelings when we get out of bed around our first day and that sort of thing, and that's concrete learning, all the way through to drop off, pick up, and walking home. And it sort of goes to show that, like, essentially we role play a scenario to get a sense of what actually happens. It's the closest thing you can get to real life application without actually doing it yet, which is perfect. this book highlights the importance of a prepared environment. So obviously the Montessori classroom they show is just fabulously beautiful, wonderfully set up. Everything is designed for those kids at their exact age and stage. It's uncluttered. It's the perfect prepared environment. That's the language that Dr. Montessori uses. It promotes the idea of self-efficacy. So the child gains confidence through the process of, with his adult guides and a supportive environment, he gains a lot of confidence, independence, and practical skills of daily living and relating to others as well. And the final point that is Montessori that I wanted to mention is that the book is grounded in reality. I mentioned in a past review that a lot of books are not grounded in reality, and that's completely fine. You need your fun books with aliens and dogs that drive cars, but you also need, I think, books that are grounded in reality, because it's an extension of this idea that we are setting our children up to live in the real world, and the tricky feelings and potentially awkward situations or challenges that pop up day to day, and essentially empowering them to say you can deal with those things. So Montessori, Lovevery has a whole range of books that they sell as standalone books called the Tricky Topics books. And I don't think this one specifically falls into tricky topics, but they've got another book on biting, another book on hitting, a book on the death of a pet. And I just think there's few better ways to sort of prepare a child than to maybe walk them through something like this. Depending on the age and stage and the unique developmental path of your child, it will affect how much they take on board and how much they think about it and understand it. But like I said, I'm going to ramble, so I'll stop now, but it's an absolutely wonderful book. Tackles some tricky topics in a really delicate way, without buying into the drama too much, but also acknowledging that transitions are hard. And transitions are hard for kids, especially kids around this age, this 3, 4, 5. So yes, I would highly recommend this book, and it gets a 5 out of 5 from me. Thank you.